We're doing this vlog to describe the main features on our concept map and to go into as much detail as we possible. Our chosen genre was horror, but after doing some audience research we discovered that the favoured genre was comedy horror. But unfortunately, if you produce a comedy without the budgets and the funds that, say, a Hollywood film production company would have, it can look a bit amateur, look like we didn't know what we were doing, and we want to use this task and get the most marks we possibly can. So we decided to go for the second most favoured genre, which was supernatural horror.
Yes, and in a supernatural horror, it's normally got stereotypically witches, witchcraft, things like that. So that's the idea that we were going to go with, and we're going to have a sort of curse as such, and we're going to have like a stalker victim, which will be Josh, and we're going to have our little images of him. We're not going to give too much away, obviously, because we're going to be opening. And we're going to have things like chants and spells, and again, things that are very stereotypical. And we've also got the title as the Pentagon, because that is stereotypically associated with witchcraft and possession, things like that.
Yeah, it's what they use to do the spells, like they'll stand within a pentagon or something. But we've also decided one of the main events, like to maybe have a twisted plotline, because in the audience research they said horror films can be a bit predictable. So we want to make the witches in a past life perhaps had been hung, and Josh in his past life was the person who let it all happen.
Yeah.
So we're going to make it so the witches avenge themselves and maybe anyone else who was hung in the process, because there's usually more than 2 witches, but obviously due to circumstances we're in a 3-part group. So we've decided on costume for the 3 characters. The 2 witches will be wearing dark, long clothing. It's got to be covering and modest, because what was it they said in the... It had to be fitting. Yeah, we couldn't come in a summer dress because it just wouldn't fit at all. It has to be believable. And then
for the costume that I'm going to be wearing will be a normal casual look, and there'll be photos of me entering and exiting my car, and the shots will be me looking around, looking nervous, which connotes suspicion.
Yeah, we want him to kind of have a sense that someone's watching him, perhaps, just to add a bit of suspension to the opening, because as we said, we don't want to give so much away in so little time. We've decided to use a montage for our opening for the horror film, but we also might use a bit of narrative, but
we don't want to give too much away, do we?
We're not going to have still framed montages, but we're not going to have a whole scene of the film. It's just going to be cross-cutting, flashbacks, a lot of black and white shots.
And then that creates a sense of mystery, and it will draw the audience in, ooh, what's going to happen next?
Yeah, confusion, and it will entice them a lot more. And horror films are quite hard to get people to go watch, because some people scare a lot easier than others. So the mass demographic isn't there what it would be with a comedy or a PG film. So we're going to have to put our film as a 15, just to entice as many people as we can if we were to possibly take it to the cinemas.
And also doing our audience research, we found that 15 would be the best age.
Yeah, definitely, because all of it's new, so you want to go see it. Okay, so makeup. Do you want to do makeup?
Yeah, for makeup we're going to have black contact lenses, because you don't really want coloured eyes for a witch, so it's not very stereotypical.
It's like After Dead, isn't it? Like zombies.
Yeah, very demon-like, very possessed. And we're going to have messy hair, so we're not going to be all prim and perfect. You're going to be dead, sort of.
Yeah.
We're going to have wounded necks from the hanging, so then that it just looks more effective.
Yeah, we want to really play on the fact that they've been brought back to life, but they're not right. Something's missing from their mind. Maybe the hate and the revenge they want to get is so strong that they can't see everything else over it.
We're also going to have quite white skin again for the dead sort of look.
And from our audience research, they said that it needs to be gory and make sure that the effects we use and the makeup is really realistic.
Yeah.
We decided, because obviously we haven't got the funds to buy all the makeup they'd buy in a Hollywood film production, we're going to use a lot of low-key lighting, not only to connote the darkness of the film, but also to help us make our props and our mise-en-scene look a lot better than it would if we were to film in daylight. So due to the cameras being how they are, we'll film about dusk, or use a different camera and film when it's dark outside.
Yeah.
So we're going to use a lot of candlelight as well to illuminate the witch's facial features.
Well, Mac just died.
and create some shadows.
Why is it done
I
that?
don't know if it's still filming. Yeah, it's still
Yeah.
filming.
Yeah.
We had
can
a
get
bit
it
of
done.
technical difficulty. Anyway, do you want to cover camera work because you are going to be the cameraman?
Okay, for camera work, we're going to be having an establishing shot which shows the location of the opening. There will be close-ups of the witches' hands and faces, long shots to see the whole setting again, mid-shot showing witches' body language, and also facial expressions.
Yeah, we'll probably do some extreme close-ups as well somewhere.
Yeah.
in it. And the font, we've chosen one that's called Anywhere But Home. We found it on a website which, it's not copyright, is it?
No.
So we're free to use it. We downloaded it and we've used it on Josh's Mac. We've experimented with a couple,
Yeah.
but the one called Anywhere But Home is quite creepy and childlike, which could connote the lack of education the witches received when they were younger. And it's like natural and mystical because we were thinking about setting our film in an old house or a dark garage, or maybe like a run-down, dark, scary house, or even in a forest. It's just got to fit with the theme because a witch wouldn't live in a semi-detached house in Downham Market. Okay.
The sound.
Yeah.
Again, we're going to have like the chanting and things like that to show the witches are possessed in some sort of way. It's going to be diegetic sound. We're going to have sort of screamy sound effects, things like that, but that will be non-diegetic. We're going to have footsteps, laughing, screaming, crying, sort of confusing noises from lots of different emotions, and then that creates confusion,
Yeah.
and then the audience won't really know what to...
A lot of distortion. I think that's what we're on.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
What else have we got? I've got so much on here. And then we decided we'd need a lot of props to make this believable, so we've separated them. We came up with a massive list and decided what was more necessary and what wasn't. So we've came up with a list of plain everyday props which you'd see in any other film, and then stereotypical supernatural horror witchcraft props. So for the plain everyday props, we've
And everyday
got
props, we've got mirror, pictures of me, matches,
table.
a table, fake blood, teddy bear, leaves, printouts, herbs, and whatnot. And for the stereotypical witchcraft props, we've got voodoo dolls, candles, the pentagon symbol, needles, pins, twine, jars which have creepy ingredients such as like eyes and stuff, an old mixing bowl, a basket, a glass ball, a spell book, and two nooses.
Yeah, that's what we would have been
ropes.
hung with.
Yeah.
But we've separated these because we wanted to show how the mirrors and the matching table could connote that the witches weren't as angry as they were before, like they own the same things as everybody else, whereas now they are where they are. The stereotypical witchcraft props connote like the violence that they're going to be wanting to get out of themselves and put onto Josh. They're going to want to take it out of their system. Therefore, they've got stuff like voodoo dolls and spellbooks. Like it just shows the audience straight away that the film isn't going to be fun and games. Like it's going to be dangerous and there's going to be possibly a couple of murders or two. Because in our audience research, we also found out that they wanted to see death. They wanted to see victims that needed help that couldn't get help. Like we want to stay as close as we can to the research we got because that's the guidelines that we've got to work on.
Also, are we setting this in modern day? So it's kind of modern, the witches are in a modern...
Yeah, we
Yeah.
could do that and then have where we've put the flashbacks as the type of the montage. We could have the flashbacks back to when they were hung.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, right, yeah. Because also having the new sort of things, you wouldn't exactly have them in 19...
Yeah,
or
we're
the
gonna-
There's a bit of both.
We're going to do a little modern twist with the flashbacks of when they were hung. So we've got olden times and the modern times of 2013. And that's all we've got on our concept map.
Goodbye!